When you talk to someone and they instantly understand you, that feeling isn't random. It's psychology. Every word, every gesture, every pause you take sends signals to the other person's subconscious mind. And when you learn to use those signals, you can gently influence how people feel, how they react, and even how deeply they connect with you. This isn't manipulation. It's awareness. It's emotional intelligence. In this video, you'll learn how to enter someone's inner world, how to connect with their emotions, and how to use the language of influence to build trust, attraction, and unforgettable chemistry. So take a deep breath, relax, and let's explore the hidden psychology of connection. Whenever you want to influence someone's thoughts, to make them see the world a little differently, to make them feel safe with you, or simply to spark that quiet curiosity that makes them remember your face, you first have to understand how the human mind truly works. People don't listen with their ears first. They listen with their emotions. They don't respond to logic. They respond to how something feels. And that's where connection begins. When you meet someone, especially a woman, your words are only a small part of what she hears. What really speaks to her is your tone, your timing, your calmness, and the energy that sits behind your words. You see, attraction doesn't start with what you say. It starts with what your presence communicates before you even open your mouth. Every heartbeat, every pause, every small smile carries meaning. And that's why two men can say the exact same line, yet one is instantly ignored, and the other leaves her silently wondering, why did that feel different? That difference is psychology. Step 1. Enter her mind. To enter someone's mind doesn't mean manipulation. It means awareness. It means learning to observe rather than rush to impress. When you talk to a woman, don't begin by trying to show value. Begin by understanding her emotional language. Because every woman has one, a rhythm of emotions that guides how she connects, trusts, and feels desire. Listen beyond her words. Notice how her energy shifts when you mention something personal. Does she lean in? Does she pull back slightly? Does her tone soften when you share something vulnerable? These tiny shifts are like emotional fingerprints, clues to her inner world. When you notice them and you respond softly, you send her brain a subtle message. He sees me. That's the key. Not he wants me, but he sees me. Because deep inside, what most women crave is not constant attention. It's recognition. To feel seen, not as a target, but as a person. And when she feels seen, her defenses fall, her curiosity rises, and she begins to open doors inside her mind that few ever reach. Step 2. Speak to her awareness. Every woman you meet has two sides. The one she shows to the world, and the one she guards carefully inside. The first side talks, laughs, scrolls, flirts. The second side listens silently, asking, "Can I trust this energy?" When you speak to her awareness, you speak to that hidden part. You do it by being grounded, not rushed, not needy, not trying to fill silence. Silence, in fact, is one of the most powerful forms of communication. When you pause after saying something meaningful, you give her mind time to feel it. That pause tells her, this man isn't chasing validation. He's comfortable in his truth. And that calm confidence is magnetic. Think of awareness as a mirror. When you are calm, she reflects calmness. When you're nervous, she mirrors that too. So your job isn't to impress. Your job is to lead emotionally, to set the emotional temperature of the interaction. When you lead with presence, the energy between you two begins to synchronize. This is what psychologists call emotional attunement. It's the hidden bridge between two people, invisible but powerful. If you've ever spoken with someone and felt instantly comfortable, like you've known them forever, that was attunement. Your nervous systems were in harmony. How to build emotional synchrony. So how do you reach that state deliberately? Start with eye contact, not staring but seeing. When you look at someone with genuine curiosity, you activate something called the social gaze system in the brain. It releases oxytocin, the same hormone tied to trust and bonding. Next, use your tone like music. Lower, slower, calmer. A soft rhythm in your voice tells the listener's subconscious, this is safe. You can relax. And relaxation is the gateway to openness, because no one can connect deeply while feeling tense. If she senses your ease, she'll mirror it without even realizing. That's how trust begins. Not with promises, but with energy. The energy of authenticity. There's a certain peace that comes from being genuine. When you stop pretending, you start radiating a kind of quiet power. And women feel that instantly. Pretending to be someone else is like speaking a language your soul doesn't understand. Your energy stumbles, but when you speak from your truth, even imperfectly, your energy flows. It's steady. It's real. And real is irresistible. She doesn't need perfection. She needs honesty that feels grounded. A man who can say, "I don't know everything, but I'm here to understand," is far more attractive than a man who acts like he knows it all. Because what women often remember isn't what you said, it's how you made them feel. Did she feel calm around you? Did she feel seen, heard, and emotionally safe? That memory becomes your fingerprint in her mind. The psychology behind her reactions, every reaction she gives you, a smile, a hesitation, a quick glance away, isn't random. It's her subconscious interpreting emotional data. When she smiles shyly, it's her brain saying, "Something about this feels familiar." When she glances away after eye contact, it's her defense mechanism whispering, "This intensity feels new. I need to process." Instead of judging those signals, read them. Patience is power here, because emotional safety doesn't happen instantly. It builds, word by word, pause by pause. And once she starts to feel emotionally safe, that's when real attraction begins to take root. Not the kind based on looks or charm, but the kind based on emotional chemistry. That deep sense of, "I can be myself around him." That's the foundation of every strong connection. Why most men fail at this step? Most men rush this stage. They think attraction is built through constant effort. More messages, more jokes, more talking. But true connection isn't built in noise. It's born in stillness. It's born when your energy tells her, "I'm not here to impress. I'm here to understand." That's what separates the average man from the unforgettable one. The unforgettable man creates emotional silence, a space where she can breathe, a space where she feels seen without judgment. And in that silence, her mind begins to connect dots. Why do I feel so calm around him? Why does his presence feel different? That's how you plant yourself in her awareness. Not by force, but by resonance. Entering her inner world. When you truly enter her inner world, you stop seeing her as a puzzle to solve and start seeing her as a universe to explore. Every woman's emotions are like tides. They shift, they move, they reveal. If you're patient enough to ride those tides with curiosity, you'll understand things about her that even she might not have noticed. That's when real intimacy begins. Not physical, but emotional. Because the mind, once opened by understanding, rarely closes again. So when you enter her mind with sincerity, you're not invading. You're harmonizing. You're learning her rhythm and letting yours move in tune with it. That's how you build the invisible bridge, the one that turns small conversations into unforgettable memories. In summary, getting inside someone's mind isn't about control. It's about connection. It's about slowing down, reading emotions, and leading with calm authenticity. When you master that, you stop chasing attention and start attracting presence. Because real attraction isn't something you do. It's something you become. So, how do you truly enter someone's inner mind? How do you reach that invisible space where connection happens? Not through words, but through energy, emotion, and presence. It begins with one thing: connection. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt comfortable around them? As if you already knew them? That spark you felt wasn't random. It was a match. A subconscious, emotional match. Connection isn't just chemistry. It's an alignment between two minds that quietly say, "I see you, and I get you." Now here's something powerful. It's easier to influence or attract someone you connect with than someone you don't, because once connection exists, resistance fades. Your brain, and everyone else's, is constantly reading and responding to silent messages. Every glance, every tiny expression, every movement. We're decoding body language even when we don't realize it. You might think communication is about what we say, but in reality, over 70% of it is nonverbal. It's tone, posture, gestures, proximity, even rhythm. Every time someone moves their head, shifts their weight, or looks away, Their body is speaking. It's revealing emotion, sometimes louder than words ever could. That's why understanding nonverbal psychology is like learning the secret code of human connection. Before a word is ever spoken and the body speaks. The face, the hands, the feet, the way someone stands, it all creates an emotional fingerprint. And here's what most people don't realize. Whatever your body does shapes how you feel inside. And whatever you feel inside shapes how your body moves. It's a cycle, a feedback loop. When you slump your shoulders, your brain senses defeat. When you lift your chin, your brain senses strength. When you breathe slowly, your brain senses calm. And when you subtly mirror another person's movements, your subconscious begins to sync with theirs. It's called mirroring. And it's one of the oldest psychological techniques in the world. But it only works when done with authenticity. Because if you copy someone too obviously, it becomes imitation. And people instantly sense when something feels off. True mirroring is gentle. It's the rhythm of empathy. It's when you naturally align your tone, your pace, your gestures to match someone's emotional frequency. When you do this right, you silently communicate, "I understand you. You can trust me." And in that instant, connection begins to grow. Let's do a small test together. It'll only take a few seconds, but it'll change how you understand connection. When you go outside next time, walk with your head lifted high. Look at the skyline, the rooftops, the trees, the open sky. Let your chest open. Let your shoulders fall back. And smile, even if it's a small, quiet smile. As you walk like that, notice how your energy shifts. You'll start to feel lighter, more confident, more alive. Now do the opposite. Drop your head. Look at the ground. Put your hands in your pockets. Drag your feet a little. Walk like someone carrying invisible weight. After a minute or two, you'll feel your energy sink. A heaviness, a dull quiet inside. You didn't think sad thoughts. You just changed your posture. And that changed how your brain felt. That's how deeply your body and mind are connected. So if posture can influence your emotions, imagine what happens when you match someone else's posture. You start to feel what they feel. You step into their emotional world, and once you're there, you understand them at a level that words could never reach. Here's something fascinating from neuroscience. Inside your brain, there's a special network called mirror neurons. These are the cells responsible for empathy. They activate when you observe someone's emotions or actions, as if you were experiencing them yourself. When you see someone smile, your mirror neurons light up. Your brain releases a tiny dose of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. That's why smiles are contagious. That's why laughter spreads through a room. It's a natural synchronization of emotional states. When you mirror someone's body language, you're speaking directly to those mirror neurons. You're saying to their subconscious, "I'm just like you. We're the same." And the human mind loves similarity. Because similarity means safety. And safety builds trust. Once trust forms, the walls drop. That's when influence becomes effortless. Every person radiates a kind of emotional frequency. Some people vibrate at high energy, enthusiastic, expressive, radiant. Others move slower, calmer, introspective. Neither is good or bad. But to connect, you must match that energy. If she's soft-spoken and thoughtful, and you approach too fast or too loud, her brain immediately puts up a wall. But if you slow your rhythm, lower your tone, and ease into her pace, she feels seen. She feels mirrored. That's how emotional alignment starts. You're not pretending to be her. You're adapting to her tempo. You're stepping into her frequency so she can feel safe enough to open her world to you. And once she does, you're already inside her mind. Here's how to train this skill. Choose someone neutral. A barista, a shopkeeper, a stranger at the park. Observe their posture, their tone, their mood. Ask yourself, are they calm? Are they distracted? Are they cheerful? Then adjust yourself slightly to match that state. If they're calm, slow your tone. If they're lively, brighten your expression. If they're reserved, soften your energy. You'll notice how naturally they begin to mirror you back. Their voice relaxes. Their eyes linger longer. Their body opens. That's the dance of human connection, a two-way emotional mirror. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to enter someone's world. And eventually, you'll learn how to gently guide the energy without forcing it. That's influence in its purest form. There's a thin line between adapting and copying. Adapting is subtle. It's emotional intelligence. Copying is mechanical. and it breaks trust. When you adapt, you respond to the person's emotional language without losing your authenticity. You stay yourself, but flexible. For example, if she's speaking softly, you don't mimic her tone exactly. You simply soften yours. If she crosses her legs, you might lean slightly in the same direction, not immediately but naturally after a few moments. This gentle alignment builds subconscious rapport. Her brain perceives you as similar, and people are drawn to those who feel familiar, because at the heart of human psychology, we all crave understanding. We want to feel seen, heard, and mirrored, and when you give that feeling to someone, they begin to trust you deeply. When two people connect emotionally, their breathing syncs. Their heartbeat rhythm aligns. Their brain waves literally begin to match patterns. Science calls this neural entrainment. Poets call it chemistry. Whatever you call it, it's real. That's why sometimes you meet someone and it feels like you've known them for years. It's not magic, it's biology. So when you're building connection, don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your presence, your energy, your eyes. Connection happens in silence more than in speech. It happens in how you make someone feel, not what you make them think. If you want to influence a woman's thoughts, you must first understand her emotions, because emotions come before logic, and feelings drive every decision, even when we think we're being rational. When she feels safe, understood, and emotionally aligned with you, she naturally becomes more open to your words, your ideas, your influence. That's why connection is the foundation of attraction. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding. It's about leading with empathy instead of ego. When you learn to sense emotions beneath the surface, the subtle cues in her eyes, the hesitation in her voice, the tension in her shoulders, you begin to communicate with her subconscious. And the subconscious, that's where real influence lives. Connection isn't something you get from someone. It's something you create with them. It's an energy exchange, a delicate dance between awareness and emotion. When you learn to align your body, your words, and your energy with another person, you unlock the door to influence, trust, and attraction. It's not magic. It's psychology in motion. So before you try to persuade, impress, or win anyone over, pause for a moment. Match their mood. Mirror their energy. Speak their silent language, because once you connect to their inner world, you don't have to push them to follow you. They'll simply feel drawn toward you. That is the invisible art of connection. After observing someone's mood, pause for a moment. Take a quiet breath. Don't rush to react or to fix anything, just notice. Look at her eyes, the way her shoulders rest, the pace of her words. You can tell more from silence than from 1,000 explanations. Emotions live in the space between words, in those small, invisible signals people send without even realizing it. Ask yourself softly, what am I feeling from her right now? Is she calm? Distracted or tired? Is she open and playful, or guarded and careful with every word? The truth is, we all speak two languages at once, one through words and one through emotion. And if you want to connect, influence, or attract, you must first learn to listen to the emotional one, because real communication begins long before words do. When you truly notice someone's emotional state, you start seeing them clearly. Not just the surface version they show the world, but the reality underneath. That's where connection lives. It's not about trying to be interesting. It's about being interested. It's about making the other person feel seen. Matching the mood. Once you recognize her mood, the next step is to match it. Not as an act, not as manipulation, but as a way to show emotional understanding. Because when two emotional frequencies align, the human mind feels safe. It relaxes. It opens up. If she's calm, slow down your energy. Let your movements soften. Let your words breathe between the pauses. Show her through your tone that you're present, not in a hurry, not performing. Your calmness mirrors her world. If she's excited and her words move fast, don't suppress that spark. Let your energy rise just enough to meet hers. When she laughs, allow your eyes to brighten. When she speaks passionately, listen with your full focus. Matching doesn't mean copying, it means harmonizing. It's emotional music, not mechanical repetition. If she's quiet, gentle, or shy, lower your voice a little. Don't fill every silence. Let her feel that the space between your words is safe. People open up not when they're forced, but when they feel no pressure to perform. And your calm tone becomes that silent permission. This is what psychologists call emotional synchronization, the invisible alignment between two people. It's a natural rhythm the mind recognizes instantly. It says without a single word, "You understand me," shifting the emotion. Once you've matched her energy, you can begin to guide it. That's where influence truly begins. Not through force, but through subtle redirection. It's like dancing. You follow the rhythm first, then you gently lead. But you can't lead before trust is formed. If you try to lift someone's mood before they feel understood, they'll resist. But when they sense that you're emotionally tuned in, they'll follow your lead effortlessly. If she's nervous or uncertain, reflect her calm hesitation first. Let your tone stay grounded. Then slowly bring warmth into your eyes, lightness into your expression. You're not telling her to calm down. You're showing her what calm feels like. And her nervous system adjusts naturally. If she's serious, don't rush to cheer her up. Begin from her tone. Meet her seriousness with quiet respect. Then when you feel the moment soften, let your energy lift gently. A hint of humor, a small smile, a lighter tone. This shift feels natural, not forced. And that's how emotions move, through permission, not pressure. The subconscious doesn't obey words. It follows energy. When your energy changes, hers follows it without resistance. The power of emotional alignment. When you align emotionally with someone, you activate one of the brain's most powerful instincts, trust. It's built into us. Humans are wired to feel safe around those who reflect their emotions. It's the mind's way of saying, "This person understands my world." That's why emotional alignment often feels magical. It creates that sense of instant connection. Two people start finishing each other's thoughts, smiling at the same moments, breathing at the same pace. It feels effortless, but it's not luck. It's emotional attunement. When you master this, conversations feel lighter. Walls come down. Attraction deepens. Because we are not drawn to perfection, we're drawn to understanding. And emotional matching is the deepest form of understanding. Practicing the shift. You can practice this anywhere, not just with someone you like, but with anyone. When you meet someone, pay attention to their rhythm. Notice their pace, their tone, their emotional current. Then, without forcing it, adapt just enough to make them feel understood. If they speak quickly, slightly quicken your own speech. If they speak slowly, let your words flow in that same rhythm. If they seem tense, relax your body and voice. Once they feel your energy matching theirs, you'll see a small change. A deeper breath, a softer expression, a quiet sense of ease. That's the moment of connection. That's when you can start to shift the emotion toward the state you want. If you want them to feel more relaxed, slow your breathing and your words. If you want them to feel happier, let your tone carry a trace of joy. If you want them to feel safe, steady your body language. Still, confident, grounded, the emotional world is contagious. The one who holds the strongest, calmest energy always leads. So, when you master emotional shifting, you become that stable center that others unconsciously follow. Influence through empathy. This is not about pretending to feel something you don't. It's about empathy, the willingness to step into someone's inner world, to sense what they're feeling, and to respond with awareness instead of reaction. Influence built on empathy lasts longer than influence built on persuasion, because people don't remember arguments. They remember how you made them feel. True influence is quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it. And it begins with emotional connection, the subtle balance between matching and leading. You don't have to talk too much. You don't have to force a smile. Your energy, your presence, your calmness, they speak louder than words. That's the art of emotional matching and shifting. It's not visible, but it's deeply felt. And once you master it, every connection, every conversation begins to move differently. It becomes less about trying to impress and more about making someone feel understood, the psychology of words. Now that you understand how energy and emotion shape attraction, let's go deeper into something that's often overlooked, the psychology of words. Because while body language, tone, and presence build the foundation of connection, words give that connection its direction. They can create desire, comfort, curiosity, or even emotional security, all depending on how they're used. You see, language isn't just communication. It's emotional design. Every word you say paints a feeling. whether you mean to or not. And when you speak with intention, your words don't just pass through someone's mind. They stay. They echo. They grow roots in their emotions. When it comes to attraction, persuasion, or connection, you don't need to say more. You need to say it better. You need to say it in a way that feels true, calm, confident, and emotionally aware. Because when your tone and rhythm match your intention, your message becomes unforgettable. Let's break this down and go through key techniques, not as tricks, but as tools to make your words more emotionally intelligent, more grounded, and more impactful. Emphasize the obvious. When you state something that already feels true, you lower the other person's defenses. It's simple but powerful. Phrases like, "You already know this," or "We both can feel that, right?" bypass resistance. Instead of trying to convince, you align. You make the listener feel like you're on the same side, not debating, but agreeing. The subconscious mind loves agreement. Every time you phrase something as shared truth, you invite the listener's brain to say, "Yes, that's right." And once that small yes happens, emotional alignment begins. It's not manipulation, it's connection through understanding. When someone feels you understand their perspective, they stop defending themselves and start trusting you. Ask a question that isn't a question. Psychologically, the most persuasive questions aren't really questions at all. They're statements disguised as curiosity. When you say, "It feels good, doesn't it?" Or "You can already imagine that, right?" You're leading someone to agreement without demanding it. The brain hears it as validation. It relaxes. It cooperates. The secret here is tone. Keep your voice soft, confident, and steady. If your energy feels sure, the listener's subconscious mind accepts your frame naturally. Because influence doesn't come from pushing. It comes from calm certainty. Get them to say yes repeatedly. Each time someone says yes, their emotional guard lowers. It's not about control, it's about rhythm. Small agreements create a flow of trust. For example, "Let's sit for a bit," "Let's walk there," or "You'd enjoy that, wouldn't you?" These small yes moments make the next one easier. The conversation feels natural, like a shared journey instead of persuasion. It's the psychology of momentum. When the brain starts saying yes, it prefers to stay consistent. That's how trust deepens, one small agreement at a time. Give choices that lead to the same result. True influence gives freedom, within direction. You're not forcing an answer. You're shaping how it unfolds. Instead of asking, "Do you want to meet up?" you say, "Would you rather grab coffee or take a short walk?" Either answer leads toward connection, yet she feels she's choosing freely. The subconscious interprets choice as control. When people feel in control, they open up. They relax into the interaction. That's why offering small, meaningful choices is so powerful. It shows respect while still leading gently. Anticipate the future. The mind loves to fulfill what it expects. When you describe a positive feeling before it happens, "You're going to smile when you hear this," or "You'll love this story," the brain subconsciously prepares to experience it. This is called pre-suggestion. You're not commanding emotion. You're forecasting it. Anticipation triggers curiosity. Curiosity triggers attention. And attention is emotional investment. That's why every great communicator uses gentle suggestion. It makes the future feel already written. And people love stories where they know they'll enjoy the ending. The power of therefore and this means that. These linking phrases create logic that the brain can't resist. You're watching this video, therefore you care about understanding people. The connection feels obvious, even if it's newly introduced. The subconscious loves patterns. It rewards things that make sense. By connecting ideas this way, your words sound more natural, more intelligent, and more believable. It's not about manipulation. It's about emotional structure. When your message flows logically, people stop analyzing it and start feeling it. Speak what you don't say directly. Sometimes the most powerful message is the one spoken indirectly. When you say, "I won't tell you what to do, you'll decide that yourself," you're actually guiding the decision, gently. You're suggesting ownership, not control. The subconscious hears freedom and follows it. Indirect language builds emotional safety. It creates space for trust. Because real confidence doesn't need to shout. It whispers with calm conviction. The but principle. Whatever comes after but is what people remember. If you say, "You're right, but there's another way to see it," the listener subconsciously focuses on what comes next. It's a mental reset, a way to shift perspective without confrontation. Used wisely, this single word becomes emotional direction. It softens disagreement and invites curiosity. That's how you guide without control, through structure, not force. The ideal question. There's one word that opens imagination like nothing else. Ideal. When you ask, what would your ideal day look like? Or what would your ideal connection feel like? You're activating visualization. You're helping someone build an emotional picture. Once they describe it, they're emotionally connected to it. And since you're the one who led them there, their mind associates you with that ideal. This is how attraction and influence work, by guiding imagination, not forcing it. Visualization is the subconscious language of emotion. It bypasses logic and speaks straight to desire. When you guide someone to imagine a beautiful moment, they don't just think it, they feel it. Tell it without telling it. True strength in language is subtlety. Instead of direct commands, use emotional assurance. I don't want you to stress about it. I've got it handled. This says leadership, protection, calmness, without ever boasting. It's emotional leadership disguised as reassurance. The more calmly you express confidence, the safer the other person feels. And safety is the foundation of attraction. The flow of influence through words. Every phrase you speak either opens or closes emotional space. If your tone carries warmth, if your pace allows space to breathe, your words start to sound like music. Steady, soft, and emotionally true. This rhythm is what the subconscious responds to. It doesn't analyze your grammar. It feels your intention. When your intention is to connect, not control, your words gain depth. They create trust without demand. And when trust grows, influence becomes effortless, because in the end, words are not just tools. They're bridges. Between minds. Between emotions. Between what's said and what's felt. And when you speak with emotional awareness, your words no longer just inform. They transform. When you truly understand the psychology of words, you begin to see that language is not just a way to communicate. It's a way to connect emotionally, to guide someone's thoughts and feelings without ever forcing them. Every sentence carries energy. Every pause, every tone, every subtle shift in phrasing has the power to shape how someone feels in the moment. When you talk with presence, your words don't just pass through someone's ears, they linger in their emotions. The goal isn't to sound smart or persuasive. The goal is to sound genuine, grounded, and emotionally in sync with the person you're speaking to. When you speak with awareness, you don't need to say much. You just need to say it with purpose. Words should feel natural, not rehearsed. They should flow like conversation, not performance. The more authentic your tone, the deeper the connection you create. It's not about convincing someone to agree with you. It's about creating a space where agreement happens naturally, because they feel seen and understood. Sometimes, the most effective way to influence someone's thoughts is to focus on what feels obvious. When you say, "You already know this," or "We both can feel it," you lower resistance. You make them feel safe with your words. The subconscious mind craves agreement. It wants to belong, to align. When someone feels understood, they stop protecting their position. They start opening up. That's where real influence begins. Not in argument, but in emotional harmony. The secret is to make your words sound like shared truth instead of personal opinion. When you say something that feels mutually accepted, the listener's mind nods along silently, saying, "Yes," inside. Those small moments of agreement might seem insignificant, but they create the rhythm of trust. Once that rhythm begins, you can guide the flow of the conversation effortlessly. There's also a certain kind of question that doesn't sound like a question at all. When you say, "It feels good, doesn't it?" Or "You can already imagine that, right?" You're not asking to be corrected. You're guiding someone to agree. These subtle statements feel soft, almost playful, but they carry deep psychological weight. The listener's brain interprets them as confirmation, not challenge. And the more relaxed they feel, the easier it becomes for your words to influence their emotions. Your tone plays a bigger role than your words themselves. Speak calmly, confidently, without rushing. The mind follows calm energy. When your tone feels stable, the other person subconsciously feels that stability too. Influence isn't about dominance, it's about emotional control. The one who stays calm always leads the emotional direction of the interaction. Sometimes influence is built through choice. You don't ask, "Do you want to?" You ask, "Would you prefer this or that?" Both choices move in the same direction, but the other person feels empowered. They feel in control. And when someone feels like they're choosing freely, they open up emotionally. Their guard lowers. This is how connection deepens, by giving gentle direction that still feels like freedom. Anticipation also creates emotional gravity. When you say, "You're going to love this," or "Wait until you hear what's next," the listener's mind prepares for a positive reaction. Their emotions align before the experience even happens. This is how pre-suggestion works. You don't force the reaction, you predict it, and the subconscious fulfills it. Even small linking words like "therefore" or "this means that" can make your message more powerful. They give logical flow to emotional ideas. For example, "You're still watching, therefore you care about growth." The brain connects those two thoughts automatically. It feels natural, even if it's freshly introduced. This subtle pattern makes your speech sound convincing, structured, and trustworthy. At times, the best way to express something is by not saying it directly. When you say, "I won't tell you what to do, that's your choice," you actually make your point more strongly. Indirect speech creates emotional space, and space is comfort. People feel safe when they don't feel cornered by your words. The less pressure they feel, the more influence you gain. True communication is never about force, it's about ease. Another key thing to remember is the power of "but." Whatever follows the word "but" is what people remember most. When you say, "You're right, but let's see it this way," you shift focus gently. You don't erase their perspective, that you redirect it. That one small word allows you to change direction without conflict. And finally, there's something beautiful about asking someone what their ideal version of something would be. When you ask, "What's your ideal outcome?" or "What would your ideal connection look like?" you're inviting them to imagine freely. Their subconscious starts building pictures of happiness, desire, or comfort. And since you're the one who guided that thought, their mind naturally associates those good feelings with you. That's how deep influence works. Not through logic, but through emotional imagery. When you speak like this, with rhythm and sincerity, your words stop being just sound. They start to breathe. They create feeling. They guide emotion without control. Every phrase becomes an opportunity to align two minds in the same emotional space. One heartbeat, one rhythm, one shared awareness. When you start to understand how powerful words can be, you realize that language isn't only a way to communicate, it's a way to connect deeply with another person's emotions. Every sound, every pause, every slight change in tone can shift the way someone feels around you. When you speak with calm, deliberate intention, your words don't just pass through someone's ears, they linger in their emotions and thoughts. You don't need to use complicated phrases or long speeches. You just need to speak with presence, with energy that feels genuine and emotionally balanced. The real strength of language comes from awareness. You begin to feel when to pause, when to let silence speak for you, and when to let your tone carry softness or certainty. The goal is never to impress someone. It's to make them feel that they can trust you, that they're safe being open around you. The moment you create that emotional safety, you've already built influence without trying. One simple way to do this is to speak in shared truths. When you say things like, "You already know this," or "We both feel that," you invite agreement instead of argument. The subconscious mind relaxes when it hears something familiar or obvious. Agreement builds comfort, and comfort builds trust. When someone feels you understand their feelings, they stop guarding their emotions and start opening up. This is the quiet point where connection begins. You can also turn ordinary statements into gentle questions that aren't really questions at all. When you say, "It feels nice, doesn't it?" or "You can already imagine that, right?" you're subtly guiding someone to agree with you. Their mind doesn't treat it as a challenge, it treats it as shared understanding. These small psychological cues work because they sound effortless, like you're both simply noticing the same truth. Tone matters more than the words themselves. Speak slowly, warmly, and with calm energy. When your voice stays steady, the other person subconsciously mirrors that peace. It makes them feel grounded, seen, and emotionally safe. Influence doesn't come from raising your voice or pushing harder. It comes from staying calm when everyone else reacts. That emotional steadiness is magnetic. Another subtle way to guide connection is by offering limited but meaningful choices. You can say, "Would you rather sit outside or stay in?" instead of "Do you want to stay?" It gives freedom while still keeping direction. This kind of choice makes people feel respected, but it also gently steers the moment. Real influence never takes freedom away. It gives it shape. The same principle applies to anticipation. When you tell someone, "You're going to enjoy this," or "Wait until you hear this," their mind prepares to feel good. The brain likes to fulfill what it expects. You're not forcing a feeling, you're predicting it. This builds curiosity, and curiosity pulls people closer emotionally. Even small linking phrases like "therefore" or "this means that" can make your thoughts sound more natural and logical. When you say, "You're listening right now, therefore something about this connects with you," it feels smooth, even if it's new. The listener's mind accepts it because it sounds reasonable. This simple structure turns your words into flowing logic that the brain finds comforting. Sometimes, though, what you don't say directly is even stronger than what you do. When you say, "I won't tell you what to do," that's your choice. You're still leading, but with gentleness. The subconscious hears reassurance, not control. That's what creates emotional closeness, soft confidence that doesn't need to demand anything. Pay attention to how you use the word "but." Whatever follows "but" is what people remember. When you say, "You're right, but let's think differently," their focus moves toward your new idea instead of their old one. It's a smooth way to redirect energy without confrontation. It's emotional redirection disguised as agreement. Finally, the word "ideal" can unlock imagination in a way few other words can. When you ask, "What would your ideal version of this look like?" you invite someone to imagine something beautiful, something personal. As they describe that image, they emotionally connect with it. And since you guided that thought, they connect that feeling with you too. This is how influence works at a deeper level, through imagination, not argument. When you combine calm, tone, shared truth, choice, anticipation, and emotional rhythm, your words stop being ordinary. They start carrying quiet power, the kind that moves emotions gently, the kind that makes people feel heard, safe, and drawn closer without ever realizing why. Now that you know how to enter someone's mind and how to use words that connect deeply, you're no longer speaking to people. You're speaking into them. You've learned how connection shapes influence and how influence shapes attraction. But this is just one part of the journey. If you want to go deeper into the hidden psychology of women, the science of attraction, and emotional mastery, watch the rest of this series. Because once you understand how women think, you'll stop guessing and start connecting. If this video helped you see communication in a new light, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Take care of your